How's it going, guys? Welcome to a thing that I do on the channel, a picture-in-picture. That's what I do. I put the battle right there, and I don't know. I'm really bad with intros today, and I always say, hey, you know what? I'll do it once I start having a good recording setup and stuff going on. This one's not bad. This one's really not that inconvenient to just pull the mic stand over here, jimmy rig some kind of webcam camera setup, and just say, hey, you know what? That's not too bad. I also had the day off, so I was like, well, it usually takes like 45 minutes or so to get one of these things set up from like getting the video. You guys don't care. Anyways, this one's against, in case it didn't say in the title, which it probably would have at that point, it's AbdallahSmash026, a good buddy of mine that I always catch at PAX every time he's in town. And match is actually, I think, from day 4 of PAX. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it was a really fun game, and I figured, you know what, if I'm going to do picture-in-picture, might as well do it against him. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and play that one back right about now. So, if you're looking at his team on the screen, he's got some real terrifying things right now. The one thing that I have been making fun of all weekend is unfortunately on his team, which does happen to be a Landorus. I don't think it is a Scarf variant, though. I think it turns out to be something a little bit nastier that I was not expecting. Dragonite, you know, Dragonite's a regular dude that you run into every now and then, which is usually a lot. Rotom Wash, I don't even need to say anything else there. The only way this team could be really any more standard that I could think of is if we plugged like a Talonflame or an Azumarill or something somewhere in here. But all of these threats, Abdallah really like he brought it to the table. And speaking of table, things that rhyme with table that are actually absolute disappointments in this game that we'll talk about when we get to them, but actually turned out to be my lead are Clefable, Cletable. I mean, you can put your shit on it. You can put all your damage on it, is basically all this Clefable did the entire game. I was not pleased with it whatsoever. But he's going to get a lead off with Klefki. I know a Thunder Wave is coming. I have no reason to stay in, which is why I'm actually just going to go ahead and switch out into my my Thundurus. And I'm going to Nasty Plot, actually expecting him to set up his screens there. You know, I could have gone for another Nasty Plot as well, but the question remains, how much am I really going to benefit from it? Because he could just as easily go into his Dragonite, eat it up with Multiscale. I figured +2 is good enough to get some things scrambling around. And I actually went for a Hidden Power predicting his Landorus to come in here. So on top of revealing kind of prematurely that I did have Hidden Power Ice instead of like Focus Blast or anything like that, you know, he just got a safe switch into this thing. And it's not really very pretty behind dual screens, but I'm going to try to deal with it. And I also think he's the Light Clay variant of Klefki, so this is actually going to stick around for a little bit longer than I wanted to. But thankfully, Thundurus, oh my god, that guy brings it home. Look at how much damage this shit did. That was like, that's a 2-hit KO even through screens, and that is a Life Orb Thundurus. So, if you haven't used one, you know, I'm always going to endorse Life Orb Thundurus. Put in work this weekend, let me tell you. So did this thing. I freaking love this thing. That thing just really doesn't care about anything that Abdallah's team really wants to throw at me. Doesn't give a shit about Klefki. The only real thing that I have a complaint about is probably going to end up being Rotom Wash, which again, it struggled with it, and I had a superior for some of the games. Those went better. This one, not so much. This read right here was a little bit easier, but something that I kind of overlooked right here is he switches immediately after the Earthquake instead of finishing me off. That should have been a flag right there that he was banded, or maybe he was actually switching out to Rotom to take the T-Wave. Looking at it in like post-narration, it's a little bit obvious that he was choice banded, but there's not a lot I really could have done about that because he was at full. And I mean, he was not Lum, is what that told me. He was either Weakness Policy or Choice Band. And on top of that, I ended up going for Flamethrower right here, expecting his Scizor to come in. I wasn't sure he had too much experience with Clefable, so I thought, okay, you know what, he's going to go into his Steel type and set up, expecting his Scizor to be a safe switch. But unfortunately, Flamethrower just jack shit. I ended up misplaying big on that one, and I just lost my Clefable for no good reason. It didn't really have a great matchup against anything on his team other than, I kind of want to say this thing if I pick the right moves, and Dragonite and Latios. So losing it out to the Double Dragons was unfortunate. I really would have liked it against Latios, but the rest of the team, you know, it's not a terrible thing to have happen. My main problem here is I didn't do more damage on Rotom. If I did a Moonblast instead of a Flamethrower, that would have been fine by me, but I didn't, and now I'm actually just gonna try some kind of series of doubles, a really like awkward thing to try to bring in something safely and do some damage. I thought he was going to go for a Hydro Pump here. I thought I could just coax him from point A, or, excuse me, this way, point A to point B to point C. You know, that would be the way that worked. But he was like, hey, you know what? You're stringing me along on this one. You have been stringing me along. So he just ends up going for a Thunderbolt on that one. And he ends up knocking out my Starmie. So I don't have a spinner for the duration of the game. I think he does get rocks up later as well, which is... that's really going to suck for Entei, and that's going to suck for Thundurus as well. But he only has one rocker, and if you remember his team comp, it's pretty obvious as to what it is. Right here, I was like, Rotom's at like half. Rotoms are like, usually, they can probably take a hit from there. But I was like, you gotta believe in the Mega Gallade. You have to believe in it every now and then. And it pays off. I'm actually able to clean it up from there. I don't leave my Gallade in a good spot. I don't want a Swords Dance right now, especially because he still has Landorus around. I'd have no way of breaking the Dragonite's multi-scale. He can still paralyze me with Klefki. There's a lot of scenarios that just say I really did not want to be in that spot, but I also do not like having Rotom on the field, so I just need to get rid of it. Right there, I was not expecting Stealth Rock. I was actually expecting U-Turn or Earthquake. I was definitely not expecting a Stone Edge or anything like that, but hey, he reveals Stealth Rock on that one. I think he goes for a knockoff here, which might have been a mistake if he did have Rock Slide or Stone Edge. I told him earlier, or I told him during this, he was like, why didn't that knock it out? And I was like, you knocked off my Life Orb with Mega Scizor. He's like, oh shit. But then I say, oh shit, because he actually had a Yachi Berry, and I don't actually knock it out in one shot, and that actually kind of sucks. Yeah, now I still have to deal with the Landorus, and I thought for sure, you know, that would have knocked it out, but I guess the Yachi Berry actually really does come in handy on that one. But when you need a job done and you need to clean it up appropriately, now that Rotom Wash is gone, this is actually going to be a little bit nicer. Scizor is going to have a lot more breathing room with that thing gone, because I can just Bullet Punch and do pretty sizable chunks to just about everything. Jig is up right there that I'm totally banded, by the way, but I do not give a shit whatsoever, because I'm just going to keep Bullet Punching as much as I can. And I actually get a crit right through his Reflect, which means that he is not setting up Light Screen. Had he set up Light Screen, that could have been a little bit difficult. I'm not sure how the game would have panned out there normally, but as it is, I have to stall out 8 turns of screen for the remaining of my physical attackers to do anything. I've already lost Thundurus. I've actually already lost all of my special attackers, so screens wouldn't have made a difference. I think he probably would have gone for Foul Play there to try to get extra damage if he was able to live it. But right here, I'm actually going to go out into Entei because I'm like, screw it. You know what? He's got the screens up, but even ×4 effective Sacred Fire should be able to clean up there. So he goes for a knockoff and a Bullet Punch. This Entei just took so many hits this game. It was ridiculous. But Scizor is finally off the field, meaning that I'm not susceptible to priority from things that don't like priority, like Mega Gallade and, you know, really this thing. I just realized how many Pokemon I have left, and it's a little disappointing. But right here, I was definitely going for the big boy plays here, which is aka a coin flip on the burn, because I really, really, really needed to cripple this Dragonite if I was going to do anything this game. I think he ended up going for the Fire Punch, expecting my Scizor there. Kind of pays off because I actually do get to keep Entei around, and I think that's not even a 2-hit KO at that range. So I'm just going to go straight up for another Sacred Fire. Or maybe no, I did go for Stone Edge now that the multi-skill is broken, which totally makes sense. Unfortunately, the Reflect is still up, and as you can see, Stone Edge is not really doing anything to the Latios at all. So I get off a Stone Edge and E-Speed. Entei did a lot of attacks, but they didn't really do a lot of damage. And I guess the main goal here was to stall out a shit ton of turns for screen. I was able to do that thanks to the Sacred Fire turns on Dragonite and the switch out, and then this little tango I had with Latios actually got rid of probably around 5 out of 6. And that moment right there made my butthole pucker, ladies and gentlemen. I've never run into a White Herb Latios, and now I have to think about what I'm going to do about it. And on top of that, I did not peg up Abdallah for the type to have an HP Fire Latios either. I was like, okay, he's just going to have like 3 attacks Trick or like Calm Mind Roost. He's not going to have HP Fire. On top of that, I didn't think a Bullet Punch was going to knock it out, which is why I ended up going for a knockoff. And I thought, well, shit, what do I do now? I legitimately just have to go for big money right now, and I have to go for Swords Dance. I have to pray that I can live a Draco from a Latios. I don't know. Oh wait, I do know what item this is. This is fucking White Herb. But I don't like the amount of damage it does. The initial intention was to have Scizor stall out a little bit of turns, and then after the special attack drop, I would go into Gallade, Swords Dance up, and then just go for the win from there, which is not too bad. And you know what? It looks pretty good. I got 3 pokes left, not 2 pokes left. and you're like, oh, guys, you know what? You don't have a lot of HP left. Your HP count is probably even lower than your neckline right now. What are you going to do about this? And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I got the Swords Dance up. I'm able to clean up Latios. I'm able to clean up Landorus. And I'm going to be able to clean up Dragonite right now. All I have to do is land a Zen Headbutt, honestly. But the thing is he did not reveal extreme speed up until that point, and he's actually able to knock me out. So that was the last one of mine, so that was probably one of the only pure losses I had that weekend. So he did, in fact, get the country badge. I will probably leave a picture of what that was in the description there. But it was standard. It was super standard shit, but you know what? Sometimes that shit's fun. So it was actually a really good game. It was definitely a brain buster, and it was a good time. So I see him every PAX. I'll probably see him again for... I don't know why I keep checking my watch. I'll probably see him again for East, and I saw him for Prime, and, you know, maybe his other excuses to come back to Seattle. I don't know. Go back. Anyways, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you can leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. You guys know how that works. Aiming to have at least 2 of these up a month, maybe 3. We'll see how things work out. It honestly entirely depends on my retail-ass schedule, and you guys know how retail works. If you don't, then you should know that it is not kind. Not kind at all. But that's going to do it out of me for today, and I will see you guys on the next one, I guess, whenever that shit happens to be. All right, later.